Well, I don't have time to do this. Well, just say no to all this crap. Oh, I want to go to this networking event. Well, you never get business off that networking event because you never follow up with someone. So don't go to that networking event. There's so much time in the world to do things. We just are really bad at saying no, and we're terrible at managing our days.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Networking with Michelle show. Today's guest is Zack Miller. He is the founder of Start with Hatch, a community that provides entrepreneurs and small business owners with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to succeed. Zack, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
Good. So we actually have a mutual friend, Shamika Williams. She's actually in your neck of the woods, but I remember we actually started our podcast around the same time, early 2015, and I know she was part of your community, and you helped her, and she did an interview with you around that time, and I'm glad I found you online, and here we are.
It's lovely how the world of the internet works, right?
Man, it's awesome. So what is Start with Hatch?
So I started Hatch really a few years ago to solve my own problem. I was growing a different business and I was looking for answers. I was looking for a community of other entrepreneurs that were going through some of the other challenges that I was going through, whether that's how to find new business, how to make more money, how to network with people using 2010, 2012 technologies at the time, because it was a few years ago. And I went to the places where people told me to go, the chambers, the scores of the world. And gotta be honest, like those people hadn't changed since the 60s. And the internet has evolved and it just wasn't a good fit. And they kept saying, oh, dress to impress. That's all you need to do to make it. And I'm like, there's got to be something more than that. And I couldn't find it. So I started something on my own. So we started hosting these small little meetups that led to bigger events. And we started making money with that. And then that led ultimately to Hatch, which is a platform that allows business owners to grow their business through online education and networking, and really just a great place where those individuals who are looking to expand themselves or their teams can find the resources that were produced by people who have actually done it themselves. And I think so often people are producing things because they read it in a book and then writing something else with it. I think that quality and curation piece is so important, and something that's been done by entrepreneurs, kind of for entrepreneurs, is something that we really wanted to help solve, and have been doing it for a few years now and have been able to help thousands of people. So we're well on our way.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce and SCORE, and I want to get into that a little bit later. But do you think with entrepreneurship, whether it's traditional or online marketing, online business, do you think there's still a bit of secret society to that? Because, like you said, go out and network, dress for success, and, you'll figure it out. But obviously there's more to it.
I think that the people who say that actually have never started a business.
Okay.
I think they're these random solo consultants that might dress well, might not, and are really trying to leech onto something and hopefully can get a client from here to there. And some people may like that. I think there's definitely communities within communities that help people grow. But I think ultimately the longer you stick at something and you find people that are actually your customers, I don't think a society necessarily is important in that case. I think, who is this podcast for, right? You found a very specific niche in it, right? And I think that is something that most people don't do. They say, oh, my customer is everyone.
Right.
And so like if it's a chamber or any networking event, the challenge is if you're going after entrepreneurs and not even in a specific vertical, there's only going to be so many entrepreneurs in a room anyway, because they have employees and team members that are going to go to these other meetings as well. And so you might only have, maybe 25% of people that are actually business owners in the actual place where you are. The society isn't deep in that case. It's non-existent. it's not focused at all. And I think people are trying to find a place where they can fit in and grow. But I think they have to be with people that are actually similar to them, and they don't always find that.
Do you follow Gary Vee?
I know of him. Yeah.
Okay. So he always says, obviously the CEO is the number one spot, right? But everyone's not fit to be CEO. And maybe you're just a good number 2 or 3 or whatever the case may be. I guess it could be semantics, but do you think there's a difference between knowing business and having a business / entrepreneurship? Or what do those words mean to you?
It's a great question. I know what I'm really good at. I'm good at stuff like this. I'm glad at communications. I'm like face-to-face communication. I'm not good at writing a blog post. I'm not good at being creative and drawing things, right? So that's where I think my 2, my 3, my 4 are really, really important. If you look at a lot of big companies, they were started by someone and someone else has taken over. There's a reason why, because that person might be good at that specific piece. And so that person that you bring in to maybe help you should be someone that complements you, not someone that's very similar to you.
That's a good point. I think what I'm realizing is, for myself as well as a lot of my listeners, we have the education, quote unquote, degrees. And obviously we're gaining skills in our careers, but how to translate that into the business aspect, the entrepreneurship space.
So I don't necessarily think that people should do that. I think that people should maybe test if that's something that they want to do. I don't think everyone was born to be an entrepreneur. I don't think that everyone should maybe attempt to be an entrepreneur because it's not for them. And I think that the reason why most businesses fail is because they do not understand what they're getting into. And then they realize that they hate it and they fail. And so understanding what you're really good at is important, but that doesn't mean that you need to start a business on it. You can try it. I tell people this all the time. Like, you can literally go through we'll find people on Reddit. They're like, I'm thinking about starting a business. What should I do? And I'm like, literally buy one of those things to sell and see if you like selling it. And when you don't like selling it because you don't like doing sales, decide that you shouldn't do it. Like, to me, it's very obvious why people struggle in business. And to me, business is very simple. Someone wants something that you have and you provide it to them for money. Simple. That's it. But we want to be like cute and be like, well, I know someone really wants this pen, but I don't really need to make a lot of money on it. It's like, no, you're a business. You're in business to better your life. It's that simple. And if you aren't willing to do those things, don't start a business or hire someone and pay them to do those things. Or stay at a business that might be more, entrepreneurial and do that thing there. People are failing at business because they think that they can just quickly become this big business, this big thing. And something I've been saying a lot recently is the things that we use are really old. The brands are really old. I don't know what microphone you're using or what shirt or what clothes you're wearing or the glasses, but I'd be willing to bet that the business that built that is at least a decade old. And most businesses, they say, fail after 3 years.
After 3 years?
Excuse me, before 3 years? Sorry, before 3 years. Thank you for fixing that. But I want every business in the world to succeed. I want every person to be successful. I truly do. But they have to understand what actually happens in that process. And if you can very quickly recognize that you don't like doing that, that's a good thing. So our platform, I always tell people hey, for $30 a month, you can figure it out if you actually want to start a business rather than spending $30,000 on buying a building or renting a building and getting a lease and buying all this equipment. You do one simple test and realize that I don't like going up to people. Like, you're starting a business, you're a salesperson.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually spoken a lot. I think business is kind of the extreme. It's like you start, everyone has $1 million idea. Everyone has $1 million idea. You start, maybe you think your family and friends are going to support you.
They're the worst ones to help you.
And then the money starts rolling in. So, but I like what you said, the selling part. Do you think if you have an idea, whatever product or service, you have this idea, you present it, whether you can sell or not sell, is that just the defining moment of the proof of concept? Or do you take time?
No, I mean, I think there's ways that you can get around that. I do think that you could find someone that might be interested in what you potentially could be selling and want to sell that. I do think that you can improve that. I think that's a skill that you would learn, right? Like, people who cold call don't like cold calling, but they learn it and realize that it helps them. You can learn how to get better at writing. You can learn how to get better at speaking. So I have an actual journalism degree. I don't think it necessarily helped me. I think what has helped me in my verbal skills is doing stuff like this over and over and over and over and over again. So I'll just be looking back at some of my videos from 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I'm like, city. I'm like, damn, how am I it's just crazy how you will improve, right? But if you're not willing to ask anyone, that I think is where the challenge is. Like, you have to actually want to exchange that thing for cash, but you can learn the skills over time to get better.
So money is a tool. So exchanging your product or service for
money. You're not making money. It's a hobby.
Okay. So I guess what's the transition from that? Once again, I have this $1 million idea. I also have a job, 9 to 5. I'm going to just dabble with this. I'm going to have this side business for a while. What are those steps that you need to make to grow your business? Obviously by creating a goal and leaving your job.
I think keeping the job first is important. I think keeping that stream of income is very important. I interviewed Damon John for my TV show and my podcast a few years ago, and he was like, don't quit your day job. Like, you're making $60K a year, like, keep making $60K a year. And then on nights and weekends and during your lunch break, try and make money for that other thing so that you can replace it. If you quit just to go full time and you haven't tested it, you're not making money, it's going to be a very scary place, especially if you haven't saved up that money. I think as you start making more money and figuring out what that goal is, you'll know when you think you can replace that career or that job, if you will. There's a lot of things out there now. I mean, 40% of the workforce is 1099 contractors or freelancers, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can be supplementing the money that you need for your business. So if you have an extra room in your apartment, you can rent it via Airbnb. You can Uber to do some stuff to get a lift. Like, I don't think people are willing to really make sure that they're bringing in money when they need money, and you have to replace that money. And so whether it's you cutting back on everything in your lifestyle, like, are you willing to cancel your Netflix account? Right. And I don't think enough people do that. But, like, what are you willing to give up? Because you're going to have to give up something. And I don't think that you should work 24/7. I think that people need to sleep. I think that people need to have a life. But you are going to have to give up something to grow that thing to make it better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the sex appeal of social media and reality shows when it comes to entrepreneurship, like glamorizing entrepreneurship. But I really think, like, long-term thinking is out the door. Like, I think people see stuff on social media and TV. Ooh, I'm going to sell t-shirts. And they just expect the money to come in, and they're not thinking about those sacrifices, or it's just short-term gains.
Why do you think P90X is so popular? because in 90 days you can go from fat to a six pack, right? That's what people want to buy. Now, what they might realize is that you're not going to, what does it say? Somewhere in there it says like, these results may vary, right? In business, it's the same thing, right? Just because you follow this exact protocol doesn't mean that this thing's going to happen. It happened for someone, but we're also like, people sell outliers.
Yeah. Yes.
So like, I try not to in my business, but sometimes it's hard not to. So we have a client that we met. She was making, or I'll tell you two stories of two outliers that I like to sell. And they're people who busted their tails. First one is a guy who had a brick and mortar retail store, was making $60K a year. We've been working with him, maybe 18 months. He did 1.2 million last year. By simply changing one real tweak, he got into a more visible area. Her story is a security company. She was making about $80K a year, and she's going to do $2 million this year. She didn't know how to use a sales funnel, right? I tell those stories because these people busted their tails to get there, but I know not everyone's going to do it, right? I met with 5 people yesterday. Maybe one of them is actually going to do the thing that is necessary to go to get into that, to get to that next step. And so people aren't willing to work, right? And I think whether it's like, you can't watch Gary Vee all day and think that it's just going to turn into $1 million. He even says it, like, watch what I do, not what I say. I think it's something that he said. It's like, you can watch a 5-minute Gary Vee video, but then you actually have to then go bust your tail.
Right.
Like, you have to do the work. If you don't work, nothing will happen.
So speaking of outliers, do you believe in the 10,000 rule, 10,000 hour rule?
To become an expert?
Yeah.
I think it's fair. Yeah, I think it's probably fair. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can't be doing something before you get to 10,000 hours, or that you can't be doing that thing to get you to 10,000 hours. You could be selling something to someone and you're 2 hours into it and they're starting at 0. So you're more of an expert than they are. True.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people struggle with that, or they have an expertise in one thing, but they want to venture into something else totally different. In my opinion, that leads to brand confusion. But I know with you having 1004 and Hatch, do you see that a lot with the people that come into your community?
With multiple brands?
Multiple brands are switching their areas of expertise.
So I think the core for what we do is very much the same. So it's to empower entrepreneurs. I think that if you understand the meaning of 1004, where we're trying to help 1,000 small businesses grow to at least 4 employees, that is very impactful. And it really feeds off of what we've done with Hatch. So if you think of a company that has multiple products under it, it's very much the same as that. But it's 1004 is really a mindset. Hatch is really a mindset. It's not so much of I don't think they're different products at all. And I think once people, but you have to educate people, and you do have to let them know that, you're 1004 strong, if you will.
Well, I mean, not different products for yourself, but I've realized, I guess the outlier rule, right? Putting in your 10,000 hours of work. And I have worked with clients that have great expertise within their career, but now they want to start this business in a new thing. So it's like, how do you translate that? It's kind of like, if you run with this, you could probably get a great head start, probably start making some money pretty quickly. But if you start from scratch, it's like you're rebranding yourself. And it's like, where did this come from?
So think of the internet or a business that you're starting as compound interest. So as you allow it to just grow, it will grow. The longer, or the more things that you start, like, I think it's important to diversify, but I think every time you restart something, you have to restart that thing from scratch, and that's really, really, really difficult. That's why maybe franchises are a decently good buy for people because you're buying a playbook that's already been proven.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think one of the key things in business is having your systems in place. And a lot of people don't know where to start, but if you buy into a franchise model,
So if
that's
those
more
people,
appealing.
so think about this. So that person that you're talking with that are clients and customers that want to do something different, figure out if they figured out a process that they can replicate on that other business. So I have a friend who owns multiple restaurants, and on the front, they're all different. They're all different food. They're all different names. But the back end, the process is exactly the same. So you should be building your process out so that, okay, now I'm going to go to this other completely different industry or vertical, but I'm going to do the exact same thing that I already learned. So yeah, you have to figure out how to do a new brand and all that stuff and find new customers. But if you have that playbook already built, that's what can be very valuable.
Yeah. And I spoke on a panel not too long ago, and I was saying, while you're working, this is the time to figure out your process, your systems in place, get your operation procedures, whatever you want to call it, in place, because you have that time and you have that money to kind of manage that and minimize your transition. Because I know that's one thing I didn't do. I was like, what am I doing?
I think most people. So when you started, you basically quit. You went all in and you started it.
I did. That was almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. And you wish you would have had a little bit more money in the bank, or you hadn't just thrown it all in because you needed more time to figure that stuff out?
Yes, because I had clients. So my thing was I was working in the financial industry, but I wanted to start a marketing business. And I had clients and I was doing things, and it got to the point where the time versus money. And it's like, well, if I quit, I have more time to focus on my business and take advantage of all these opportunities. But that didn't work out so well.
And most of those opportunities probably were garbage time anyway.
And that's the thing. And I'm just like, you'll just never know. And I've matured in so many ways, personally and professionally, to be like, if it's meant to be, there's some divine sign.
In 2013, my New Year's resolution was to say no to everything.
Oh.
So I was like, I want you to be on this board of something. Nope. I want you to go to this meeting. Nope. I want you to do this. Nope. Like, it's very easy to say, yeah, I'll have a meeting with you. Yeah, I'll go to lunch with you. It's very difficult to say no. But when you learn how to do that, you learn you're not wasting your time. Now, someone listening is like, well, you're saying no to potential clients. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying say no to the insurance agent that is emailing you in a very persuasive way to say, I want to learn more about your business and see how we can work together. You know where that's going. But how many people waste their time with that hour, the meal maybe if it wasn't paid for, the 30 minutes to drive there, so you start adding that up. You do that 10 times a week. Well, I don't have time to do this. Well, just say no to all this crap. Oh, I want to go to this networking event. Well, you never get business off that networking event because you never follow up with someone. So don't go to that networking event. Or there's so much time in the world to do things. We just are really bad at saying no, and we're terrible at managing our days.
Now, I know it's been a while, but can you go back and what was your mindset? Did you suffer from the fear of missing out in the beginning, or what type of clarity did you gain from saying no?
So I was just wasting so much time.
That's simple.
So now I'll tell you kind of how I look at it now, and hopefully that'll turn back to 2013. So someone now says, I don't have enough time to do something. I said, great. That means you're really busy. Things must be going wonderful. Congratulations. Let's take an inventory of the next 7 days of your life. Just figure out what you're doing. You say you don't have time. Let's just figure it out. So then you document that whole process. I'm sleeping 8 hours a day, and literally documenting each of these things. I'm sleeping 8 hours a day. I'm doing an hour of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Perfect. All those things I think are great. I'm on Facebook 18 hours. I'm on watching Netflix for this. I'm going to the bar for 24 hours. I'm working on my business 2 hours, and I'm working for the man somewhere else in there maybe. You start adding that up, and you realize, well, time isn't the issue. You're the issue because you're not willing to actually get that thing done. And so I think people think the pain point is time, When the pain point isn't time, it's that maybe you don't have enough cash to do something and pay for it, or maybe you're not willing to do that thing. And so I started to take an inventory of my life in 2013. It was a year I had lost a lot of money. And I was like, what am I doing? And I kept realizing I'm giving all these meetings to people. I'm providing them with, like, in my mind, 6-figure meetings for an hour where they can literally take what I'm saying and make money off of it. And what am I getting out of it in return? I didn't have a product at the time. I didn't have a service that I could sell them other than maybe an event later on. And it just wasn't worth it. And so I had to sit there and go, okay, why is this happening? And then somewhere I read that, start saying no more. And it was that one little nugget that made me go, okay, let's start. And so to understand that, like, there's a lot of wasteful time in your day, and then if you can improve that, you can get better with it. Now, again, I think you should sleep a lot. I think that you should go out and have time with your friends. I do think that you should spend time doing other things than work. I work basically a 9 to 5.
But your own 9 to 5.
Well, my own 9 to 5, right? But then I go home, right? I'll still do some work on nights and weekends, but it's not like my A game stuff. Like, to me, I need to be on my A game when I'm talking to you, when I'm hosting my TV show or podcast, when I'm other than, like, if I'm doing a speech to someone, if I'm keynoting something, that's when I need to be on my A game. Everything else is practice to get there. And if you're wasting your day with stupid meetings or stupid conversations with people that aren't going to get you closer to where you want to get, and that might be just quitting your day job, then you need to really, like, give yourself a good audit and say, hey, like, I do need to change this. This is hurting me. Like, I have things that I want to do in my life, and I don't need to be at the bar till 2 a.m. Even if you go to the bar every night till 2 a.m. Actually leave at 1:30. You're going to save yourself 3.5 hours every week. Right? Just stop watching one episode of Netflix every week. Like, those little things will turn into more and more time.
So you mentioned, you gave the example about the email from the insurance agent. I want to see how we can collaborate and work together. I speak a lot on networking and the follow-up piece. I guess, any tips on how to gauge on initiating a collaboration? Because I get it all the time, especially with my podcast. But any tips on how to gauge that type of email or conversation with someone?
So the example is, I want to partner with you, or I want to leverage each other's brands to maybe better improve each other. I mean, sometimes I would just simply say, hey, what do you have in mind? What's interesting about that is I would say 80% of the time they never follow up. Maybe if you really think something like that could be good in the future, maybe putting together a simple landing page that could say what the opportunity could be, and then say, cool, here's what we do. Send it to them and see what they say.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, usually partnerships, agreements like that are usually one-sided.
Yeah, that's true.
And if it's good on your side, then maybe you figure that out, right? Like, if you can leverage someone else's brand to improve yours, do it all day. But understand that you might have to give up something fairly large to get that. And not, like, maybe you want to work with a certain organization and they don't have the budget for that one little thing, but their name is huge and you can leverage that. Maybe you take a cut on that, or maybe you say screw it and don't. But it's all about, I think, what can you do with the thing that you're about to get? So if we work with a school and we want to work with a school and they don't have the budget to do it, but we know that if we can promote that to get the next 10 schools, then maybe it's worth it. So if you do services, if you do design service for a nonprofit and they're like, I can't afford this, can you do it for 20% of what your budget is? But they have a huge brand. Maybe say yeah, but then make sure that they don't tell everyone else that you gave them an 80% discount. or figure out how they can get you new business. And so we need to be selfish as business owners, because if we're not, someone else is.
That's true. That's a good one.
Like, we have to be selfish, because if that doesn't mean that we can't be kind and nice to people. It just means that if we're not trying to win, someone else is, and they're going to figure out a way to do it better than us. And so you don't have a competitor, I don't have a competitor, whatever. Someone's going to figure out a way to do it. And some big company might even overtake in your industry and build something, and then they have all the notoriety. And so if you're not trying to win, if you're not trying to be selfish, someone else is, and they will beat you.
With that being said, is there such thing as too much promotion?
Have you ever been told that you heard about your product too much?
No, I actually hear the opposite, which I don't know how, but yeah.
So I actually love that question. I think the answer is no. No, I don't think there's too much promotion. It's not everyone is ever going to find you. And the more that you can do, the more that you should do. I think it's important that I'm 7 years into my business now. There's still people, I like to go into a room when I'm doing a keynote and be like, hey, how many of you guys have ever heard of me or some of the brands that we built? Raise your hand. Sometimes the room is 95%. That's awesome. It's great to feel. Sometimes the room is 2%. And you're like, you got a lot of work to do. So your question about promotion, it's sitting there going, well, you haven't done your job yet. Especially if that room is filled with people that are your clients.
Right. Start with Hatch. Why should we join? What can we expect?
Well, if the last 30 minutes of this conversation have been valuable to you, imagine that 24/7. That's what you'll get on Overdrive. It's a place where you can feel safe. You can learn what you need to do and make sure that ultimately your business grows. And so if you like what you just heard, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get real, used business techniques, tips, help, a crying shoulder if you need to. Hell, sometimes I need to cry on someone else's shoulder because I had a bad day. I mean, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get resources that are actually going to help you grow your business. And if you don't like what I said, anything, then it won't be a good fit for you. But that's okay. Like, I understand that not everyone wants to grow their business. And that's okay.
You have an extensive video library. So become a member. What are the first 3 videos I should watch?
So in our onboard process, we bring people through a kind of welcome video. So that should be the first thing that you watch. We have a roadmap or a technique that we call Your Business Snapshot. It allows you or your team to kind of understand where your business is at that current moment. Ask questions like, what pain point are you solving? What clout do you have? What is your financial goal? Things like that. I think it's really important to start with that and to frequently go back to it, because as your clients change, whether you're adding or subtracting them, realizing that they're more specific. So imagine if you decided that you were only going to do half of the millennial population for this podcast, and that you were going to go on the lower end instead of the upper end. You've changed something. You're talking to people different ways. So it's a 20-year span. Now you're decreasing it down to 10% or to 10 years. You would then go and need to change your snapshot to make sure that all of your marketing and things associated with that are correct. I think most people set a plan, they start doing it, and then something changes and they don't change the plan. And so this snapshot is literally telling you, hey, on whatever date it is, this is what you thought. If you change something in 3 minutes, go back and change this snapshot. If you change it in 3 months, make sure that you update that information. Because if you don't, you're going to be potentially spending a lot of money going towards something that you've changed, but you haven't updated all of your ads, the copy on your website, the webinars that you're doing, the keynotes that you're presenting. So that would be the first thing. Number 2 is an awesome video on how to identify pain points. And a pain point is like a problem that you're trying to solve. Earlier, I said that I think most people address pain points incorrectly. The example I'll give is you know that your bank account is low in your business. Okay, that's great. How do you understand kind of in a real life situation? Well, the red light in your car, the check engine light goes on. It says, oh, something's the matter. So I know my bank account's low because I logged in and said it was low. So what do? Well, in your car situation, you take it to a mechanic and say, hey, what's up? What's the matter with this? And then they say, hey, it's your timing belt. It's going to cost $200 to replace this plus $100 labor. I don't know how much, if that's how much they actually cost. In your business, it's, oh, I got to get new business. Are you willing to do that? And in the car service, not everything that they tell you, they actually buy, right? So I'm sure they give you that free estimate because that's a part of their sales funnel. And they realize that the more people that they say, hey, you have this problem, you are more likely to get them to say yes. How can you take that same scenario or situation and do it in your own business? And so I'm not saying that you should do a free analysis for everyone, but understanding that maybe there's something in there that you need to provide people at first to let them know that, hey, this thing hurts. Like, it's amazing to me. I remember this is probably 2011, 2012. I had been looking for something that was basically an opt-in to like an opt-in pop-up provider. And for literally 6 months, I would put in different keywords to try and find something like this, and I couldn't find it. I was using MailChimp at the time. I am not technically savvy in any kind of way, so I didn't have a team. It was just me. I was a solo guy. And for 6 months, I couldn't find this tool. Literally, the day I find it, it was Lead Pages at the time. It was $79. My credit card was out quicker than anything ever, and I bought the damn thing. And so it had been built up as such a big pain point to me that I then bought it. But not everything's a super big pain point to people. And so we in this video teach, and it's actually very quick, it's 5 minutes or less. We teach people how to understand, how to really recognize what a pain point is in your business by looking at other things in the world. And I think it's really important. Another thing is actually a path, which is like a piece of curriculum for us. It's how to take the things that you've already done, the content that you've already produced, and how to recycle that into new business. Those would be the 3 that I would do. I think they're powerful. I actually was the coach on each of one of those, I guess. There's a ton of other videos where I'm not the host or the coach because I'm only good at so many things. And those are the only things that I'll talk about. Otherwise, someone else is going to talk about that thing.
Okay. So the website is startwithhatch.com, social media as well, correct?
Yep. Start with Hatch, /start with Hatch.
All right. Anything that I'm missing, anything that you would like to add before I ask you the final question?
I mean, I would say just because you're seeing something online or someone's saying the story the way that seems that they're doing amazing, maybe they are, but you're not seeing the full story. You're not getting the context of what they've gone through to get there. You don't know how long they've gone to do it. Maybe you just learn about me today. That's great. I'm very thankful for you listening. But I'm 7 years into this journey now. If you're 1 day into this journey, realize that you have to start. Keep that job. But every day try and do something a little bit more. And the more that you do that, the closer you'll get to that thing that you want. And it's not my job to tell you what your goal is. My goal is ridiculous. I want to own a majority share in an amusement park.
Oh.
That's a crazy, audacious goal, right? There's probably not a lot of people in the world that want to do that.
Right. Or you don't hear it. Yeah.
So what is your goal in life?
I think my immediate goal right now, well, I say immediate, the one on my brain, just being a well-known international speaker because I want to travel. I want to be in a position to travel and work.
So I would take that and say, okay, what are other people in the world that are doing that look like? and where are they and what did they do to get there, and start trying to replicate that scenario. So I want you to hit that goal, right? So after this call, I'm going to go and look up some really famous internet people that are traveling, and I'm going to email you and I'm going to say, here's what it looks like they're doing. Here are the places for you to get to. You need to do this stepping stone to get there. You know, maybe you need to go do 10 smaller talks in your city first to then get to a statewide, to then do 10 statewide to then get to the nation. And so or maybe just introduce yourself to some of those big talks too. Maybe that works. Maybe they're doing a call for speakers, right? Maybe it's super easy and you don't have to have a portfolio stuff, but it's understanding how other people got there and trying to copy their process.
Right. I agree.
We're going to get you there.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing. I need to sign up pretty soon. I just want to say this. He has one video says how I sell products online and make $8,000 a month. What banks are looking for in a business, which is very important if you want to get a loan or just in managing. I'm all about managing your money. Another one is using landing pages to convert traffic into leads. Talked about the sales funnel a little bit. Understanding risk, how to focus and get things done. So there's a lot of good videos on here that I know I could easily get lost in.
The key, though, is don't just listen, implement. Do it afterwards, right? You can read every book in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, well, is it worth it? And so we have the tools. Now we want you to use those tools and grow with it.
So, Zack, the final question, how do you define success?
Me personally, I want to be happy every day. When I think the majority of my life I've been pretty happy. I've done some stupid things to get down in the dumps, had to rise like the phoenix, if you will. Whether that was failing out of a class in high school so I couldn't swim and I was an all-state swimmer. Like I'm like gonna win states and I'm a stupid kid and I get like 40% on some of my tests and can't swim, so I fail out there, or losing a lot of money on businesses or events, or a lot of different situations in my life. I've been in the dumps and gotten back up. In kind of my professional life, that was when I worked in corporate America. I was in an evil place. I woke up every morning not wanting to go to work, not wanting to do anything other than be done with that. And I did that for 3 years. And it was difficult to get out of, because in journalism world, I think a lot of people think that's the only thing that you can do. And I basically was applying to other dead-end jobs. It was the same thing in a basically a different vertical. I'm going to go to a different city, or I'm going to basically do the exact same thing for an entertainment company, and it was still going to be miserable. And I was miserable, and it was terrible. And I just wanted, I didn't even realize at the time that I wasn't happy. And now all I want to do is be happy. And it's hard for me to define what that looks like, but I know what it feels like. And so I wake up, and it doesn't matter if I'm having a bad day. I know that I'm still happy and loving what I'm doing by helping people achieve their goals. I know that if I help other people and I'm smart about the business side of it, things will go great. And so if someone is on the side of the road with a flat tire, I'm going to pull over and I'm going to help them with that flat tire. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. And taking that kind of effect and taking that mindset and putting that into business and saying, how can I help people? That's what matters to me. And if you don't help other people, if I don't help other people, I'm not going to be happy. And so that's what's most important to me. I have a great family. I'm about to get married. I'm very happy in that world and business, and I've been able to help a lot of people. And I just want to be happy, and that's it. I know the rest of you do good things in the whole process of that. The rest will be great.
I love it. Everyone, please visit startwithhatch.com. go ahead and sign up for a membership. Zack, I want to thank you for being a guest. Your words of wisdom have definitely resonated with me, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
Implementation is everything. Also, everyone, remember, I believe in you. A personal connection leads to an influential network. So thanks for networking with Michelle.